So yeah, what's good, my people? Um, get this closer. Okay, first off, this is part three, my part three of Untold Indiana. Just doing some more digging, trying to figure out some stuff. Trying to make this video feel interesting. But the more I keep digging and looking, the more stuff I find. It's fine. And I be wanting to hurry up and get this out. So then I be wanting to say stuff. I be having everything in my head what I want to say, and then when I get ready to say it, don't come out right. So then I write it down. Then I take forever writing it because I end up writing the whole book because I just love to write and read. But if I try to just talk off the top of my head, I get to stuttering and fumbling over words and stuff. But anyway, I don't want to take a real long time with this video. But anyway, this is the introduction to the introduction to the introduction. I had already did two. This is the third one. And this is Untold History of Indiana and the removal and genocide, resistance, and the surveillance of the Aboriginals that were already here. And like I said, I just wanted to know because it's Indianapolis, Indiana, and I know we always had corn everywhere, and it just intrigued me. All the corn because growing up, they never talked about this being any type of Native American, as they call it, territory before anything. Didn't learn that at all in school. And I'm pretty sure they still not teaching this. Cause this is something you gotta dig for. And then there's another story I gotta find on here. It's called Back to Africa. And I know this was going on worldwide, but it was a lot of shit going on in Indianapolis, Indiana, with them trying to remove the original people. And this was after the Trail of Tears. This was in the 1800s. So I need to find that because I want to go over there too. But let me stop procrastinating and finish up with this part. So it says U.S. government strategies for indigenous land theft. U.S. government strategies for indigenous land theft. Once again, this was a paper or article or whatever I found that was written by this person, Jill Simmons, and this was in April of 2021. And mind you, like I said, Untold Indiana Historical Bureau, and this is part two of the paper of this paper, but this is part three of me discussing it or reading it or educating. This is for educational purposes only. And then after I get done with this, I'm gonna go on to the treaties because it was a lot. So and then I'm trying to find pictures too of what the original Aboriginal Potawatomi people look like. And this is just a dry rendition, so I'm pretty sure. And they was already here in 1600, so I need to find some pictures. Cause my mom and my daddy, their parents aren't from here, but I do believe they was born here. My mom and daddy was, but if I'm not mistaken, Tennessee. I think I see Tennessee, Virginia. I see Chicago from my great grandfather, and because they got bred, because they when they got ran off, some of them went to Detroit, that Detroit area, the Chicago area. So I'm just trying to see where I fit in at, cause I found out, you know, all my family's history, and that we are of Aboriginal people, but I just don't know what tribe. But I'm gonna find out. But anyway, it says, oh, I already read that part. That's all my other parts. So I'm gonna go down to here where it says that the U.S. government strategies for indigenous strategize for indigenous land theft. The U.S. government has several strategies for forcing Native peoples to cede land. U.S. leaders exploited tribal autonomy. That's how you say that, autonomy, by making treaties with individual villages rather than large regional bands. This tactic this tactic helped divide communities as gifts and annuities were leveraged against those unwilling to go. The loss of land in areas where native peoples were removed impacted those who remained. They could no longer self-sufficiently live off the land, and they became reliant on annuities while being pushed into debt. This was intentional, as Thomas Jefferson explained to William Henry Harrison in an 1830 letter. Let's click on the letter. Okay, so this is supposed to be from Thomas Jefferson to William Henry Harrison, Fort Benjamin Harrison, hmm, 27th February 1803. To William Henry Harrison. Dear Sir, while at Monticello, I read this, yep. While at Monticello in August last, I received your favor of August 6th and meant to have acknowledged it on my return to the seat of government at the close of the ensuing month. But on my return, I found that you were expected to be here in person, and this expectation continued to winter. I have since received your favor of December 30th. It's kind of real long, so let me find the part where he said, oh shit, I'm gonna have to read all of it because all of it has important irrelevance. Okay, and the farmer, you mentioned the plan of the town, which you had done me the honor to name after me. Hmm. Harrison County. It's so many freaking counties here. I have found a site. It was a dating site, and I was filling out the little info and shit, and it had got to where you live at, and then it had all the counties. I wrote half of them down, and it's just one of them little notebooks. I had to find it. I still got it, and it took like 3 or 4 pages, and I wasn't even halfway through the alphabet. It's a lot of counties here. And then when I was reading, oh, I gotta find this site. It was called the Black uh, Phone Book or the Black Dictionary or something of all the so-called black people here in Indiana. Uh, and the majority of the counties that was here were counties of people of black people, so-called black people. I mean so-called brown people, copper people. That's what we was called. Okay, let me hurry up. I'm thoroughly persuaded that it will be uh that I can't read. It will be found handsome and pleasant, and I do believe it to be the best means of preserving the cities of America from the scourge of the yellow fever, which being peculiar to our country must be derived from some peculiarity in it. That peculiarity I take to be our cloudless skies in Europe, hmm, where the sun just does not shine more than half the number of days in the year, which it does in America. Hmm. They can build their towns in a solid block with impunity, but here a constant sun produces too great an accumulation of heat to admit that. Ventilation is indispensably necessary. Experience has taught us that in the open air of the country, the yellow fever is not only not generated, but ceases to be infectious. I cannot decide from the drawing you sent me whether you have laid off the streets round the squares, thus are only the diagonal street therein marked. The former was my idea and is, I imagine, most convenient. Yeah, I guess he's talking about this. You will receive herewith an answer to your letter as president of the convention, and from the secretary at war, you receive from time to time information instructions as to our Indian affairs. These communications being for the public records are restrained always to particular objects, and occasions. But this letter being unofficial and private, I may with safety give you a more extensive view of our policy respecting the Indians, that the better you may the better comprehend the parts dealt out to you in detail through the official channel. In observing the system of which they make a part, conduct yourself in unison with it in cases where you are obliged to act without instruction. Our system is to live in perpetual peace with the Indians, to cultivate an affectionate attachment from them. By everything just a liberal, by everything just and liberal, which we can do for them within the bounds of reason, and by giving them effectual protection against wrongs from our people, the decrease of game rendering their subsistence by hunting insufficient. We wish to draw them to agriculture, to spinning and weaving. But they spinning and weaving all their lives so they can get the land. The latter branches they take up with great readiness, because they fall to the women, who gain by quitting the labors of the field for those which are exercised within doors. When they withdraw themselves to the culture of a small piece of land, they will perceive how useless to them are their extensive forests, and will be willing to pare them off from time to time in exchange for necessaries for their farms and families. To promote this disposition to exchange lands which they have to spare and we want for necessaries, which we have to spare and they want. We shall push our trading houses and be glad to see the good and influential individuals among them in debt, because we observe that when these debts get beyond what the individuals can pay, they become willing to lock by a succession of lands. At our trading houses, too, we mean to sell so low as merely to repay us cost and charges, so as neither to lessen or enlarge our capital. This is what private traders cannot do, for they must gain. They will consequently retire from the competition, and we shall thus keep clear of this pest without giving offense or umbrage to the Indians. In this way, our settlements will gradually circumscribe a approach the Indians, and they will in time either incorporate with us as citizens of the U.S. or remove beyond the Mississippi. The former is certainly the termination of their history, and most happily to themselves. But in the whole course of this, it is essential to cultivate their love. As to their fear, we presume that our strength and their weakness is now so visible that they must see we have only to shut our hand to crush them, and that our uh, liberties to them proceed from motives of pure humanity only. Should any tribe be foolhardy enough to make up the hatchet at any time, to take up the hatchet at any time, the seizing the whole country of that tribe and driving them across the Mississippi as the only condition of peace would be an example to others in furtherance of our final consolidation. Combined with these views, and to be prepared against the occupation of Louisiana by a powerful enterprising people, it is important that setting less value on interior extensions of purchases from the enemy. We bend our whole views to purchase and settle of the country on the Mississippi. See how they spell it? They don't spell it with two P's. From its mouth to its northern reaches, that we may be able to present as strong as in front to our western as our eastern border, and plant on the Mississippi itself the means of its own defense. We now own from 31 degrees to Yazoo, and hope this summer to purchase what belongs to the Choctaws from the Yazoo up to their boundary, supposed to be about opposite the mouth of Arkansas. We wish at the same time to bring in your quarter, which there is at present a favorable opening. The Choctaws being extinct, we are entitled to their country by our paramount sovereignty. The Peorias, we understand, have all been driven off from their country, and we might claim it in the same way. But as we understand, there is one chief remaining, who would, as a survivor of the tribe, sell the right. It will be better to give him such terms as well as will make him easy for life. And I take a conveyance from him, the Cascaskias being produced into a few families. He presumed we may purchase their whole country for what would place every individual of them at his ease, and be a small price to us, saved by laying off for each family whether they would choose it as much rich land as they could cultivate adjacent to each other, enclosing the whole in a single fence and giving them such an annuity in money or goods forever as would place them in happiness. And we might take them also under the protection of the U.S., thus possessed of the rights of these three tribes. We should proceed to the settling their boundaries with the Potawatomis, the Kickapoos, claiming all doubtful territory, but paying them a price for the relinquishment of their current claim, and even prevailing on them if possible to cede for a price such of their own unquestioned theory as would give us a convenient northern boundary. Before broaching this, and while we are bargaining with the Kaskaskias, the minds of the Potawatomis and the Kickapoos should be smooth. and consolidated by liberties and sincere diagnosed village. No, assurance of friendship, perhaps by sending a well-qualified character to stay sometime in the something village, as if on other business, and to sound him and introduce the subject by degrees to his mind and that of the other heads of families, including in the new way of conversation. Oh, I hate one of uh, all those considerations which prove the advantages they would receive by a session on these terms. The object might be more easily and effectually obtained than by abruptly proposing it to them at a formal treaty. Of the means, however, of obtaining what we wish, um you will be the best judge, and I have given you this view of the system which we suppose will best promote the ideas of India and I have to adapt your beings to the object. For this purpose, we have given you a general mission for treaty. The crisis is pressing. Whatever can now be obtained must be obtained quickly. The occupation of New Orleans, hourly expected by the French, is already felt like a light breeze by the Indians. You know the sentiments that entertain of that nation under the hopes of their protection. They will immediately stifle against cessions of lands to us, and we had better therefore do at once what we can now be done. I must repeat this letter is to be considered as private and friendly. That's just saying nothing. And that was the letter. That's crazy. Alright, I'm gonna end this for now. I'll be back for part 4.